So hello everyone, and welcome to our call tonight on beginning animal communication. My name is Janet Roper, and I'm an animal communicator and an educator, and I am just delighted to share with you the joys that I find in animal communication and connecting with the animals. It's truly life-changing for me. This picture that you see now, that's my horse, Shiloh. And Shiloh is an angel horse. Let me adjust the screen here so you can see him a little bit better. Shiloh is an angel horse. We were together for 18 years. We got together when he was a 5-year-old, and then he was 23 when he passed. But Shiloh truly believed that people could connect with animals, and that it was just so obvious to him that it was just like, well, hello, why isn't everybody doing this? And he was telling people, he said this when he was 17 years old, tell people not to limp along with their animal communication skills. Now is the time for people to really learn to talk to animals and to listen to us too. We have much to share. And he said that a few years ago. And I think it's even true more so now, that it's important that we connect with the animals, and they do have a lot to share with us. So this right here, for right now, it's a lie. I don't have everyone muted because it's quiet on the line and everything. And I do want you to feel free to ask any questions as they come along. There will be an official question and answer session at the end. But if we're doing this, and as long as, the technology gods are with us and, we've got a quiet background and everything, feel free to just ask your questions as we go along, because I know sometimes it's really difficult to remember what the question is. And there is a chat, and I think it's on, if you scroll over to the top right-hand side of your screen, you will see it there. And that is a picture of me and Shiloh, welcoming you again to the wonderful world of animal communication. And it truly is, it's such a basic truism that we all do better when all creatures do better. And that means that we all come up to the forefront and we all help each other do better. As I said, my name is Janet Roper. I'm an animal communicator, an educator, an animal advocate, and a blogger, and a student of shamanic practice. And I just started the shamanic practice a 1.5 years ago. I'm in a 2-year intensive course. So by the end of this year, I will be adding the shamanic practice to the animal communication practice. It's going to be really interesting to see how all of that evolves and how all of that blossoms into something new. I have no idea what it will be. I will probably be the last to know, because it has been my experience that in working with the animals, particularly as closely as I do, that they are the ones who are orchestrating everything. And they get things orchestrated and then they present it to me, and then it's like, okay, I guess this is what they have in mind for me. And I know that might sound kind of woo-woo, but I think as we start connecting with the animals, connecting with them in relationship with instead of power over, that we do have a working relationship like that, where everyone is helping everyone else, and they do orchestrate things for us to do. So it's interesting to see how that works. I've practiced animal communication for basically 20 years, but it's something that I've done all of my life, and I didn't know it had a name. And when I was a kid growing up, people would, or my folks would tell me, don't tell the neighbors, that squirrel was talking to you. What will the neighbors say? That was the famous line in my house growing up. What will the neighbors say? What will the neighbors think? So I really squashed it down. And you're going to hear in a couple of minutes of how a dog led me into my life calling of working with the animals and communicating with the animals. In animal communication, there's so many different ways that people can go. And I know particularly if people are coming in and looking at it from the beginning, they're thinking, oh, animal communication is animal communication. And it is, And there's more, because there's so many different avenues that the communicators can go. And so what I look at is my strengths, my calling in animal communication is to help with the animal-human bond, and to help people understand that they can, all of us can talk to the animals. All of us can connect with the animals. Not all of us have the desire to do it, but we all have the ability to do it if that is something that we want to do. And the thing that's really great with that is that sometimes people will come to me and they'll say, Janet, but I can't connect to the animals. You know, that's just silly. The animals wouldn't want to connect with me. But if you think of a continuum of, we've got a bridge and we humans are on this side and the animals are on this side. The animals are meeting us more than halfway in the middle, because they are getting, just like Shiloh said earlier, you know, now is the time to do it. The animals really want us to get on board and to really open up our abilities, remember our abilities, because this intuitive communication is something that we've done for eons and eons and eons as humans. We've forgotten about it with the Age of Enlightenment and with things like that. But now the animals are calling us to step up and to step into our role of communicating and connecting with them in that intuitive sense. The other thing that I do within animal communication is I help people and animals who are in a hospice situation, who are in a death and dying situation, and also working with angel animals. And that is one of the things that I love doing it. It's so beautiful to be able to help the people connect with their animals and to see how they can be with their animals at that precious time in the animal and the human's journey together as it comes to the end of their physical time on Earth together. And you'll be hearing more about that later on, about a couple of experiences that I had with my own animals. But basically with the animal communication, if you just keep in mind that we can all do it, we all have the ability, that's going to get you a whole heck of a long way. Currently, I am cheerfully owned by one dog, and I used to be owned by two cats. One of my cats, Billy, passed away in February of this year. So now I am cheerfully owned and managed by one cat, Raven. And Raven does keep me on my toes, let me tell you. So sometimes people come here and they're wondering if they are in the right place. And I always like to reassure people that basically, if you're on this call tonight, you're in the right place. Because in a sense, I'm already preaching to the choir, so to speak. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't already have a love and an honor and a deep respect for animals. This call would not attract people who just think an animal is an animal. So if you have that deep love and respect for animals, you are in the right place. If you have had that feeling, you know, that nagging feeling that we can get from time to time that the animals are trying to connect with you, but you're not sure how to connect with them, you're in the right place, because we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. And if you have always wanted to communicate with animals, but you weren't sure where to start, because there's so many different places, there's so many starting lines when it comes to connecting with the animals. So out of all of the starting lines that there are in animal communication, you're here on this one tonight. And if this one works for you, yay, yay, that is just really wonderful. It's a starting line. It's a starting place. And we all need to start someplace. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Can you just let me know that you're hearing me okay? Hello? All right, let's see if anybody's hold on, bear with me for 1 minute. Well, I see if there's anything going on here in the screen share.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, wonderful, wonderful. And what I'm going to invite you to do tonight is to take notes or screenshots of our call. And you'll see why at the end. I have a special thank you at the end that I'm going to be sharing with you. So however that works for you, if it's longhand, and you're taking notes, if you're taking screenshots of what's on your screen, whatever works for you, that is cool. So tonight, what you're going to be hearing is how I got my start as an animal communicator, what I love about animal communication. And that was really hard because I'm going to give you 5 things that I love about animal communication. And it was hard to narrow it down to those 5 things. I'm going to be talking about why animal communication is so helpful, the question that I'm most asked, and then we'll be talking about what animal communication is, what it is not, and how it works. So we're going to be putting a lot of things into this time that we've got together, this hour that we've got together. We're also going to talk about how you can get started to now. We're going to we're going to talk, I can't talk. We're going to be doing an exercise about how you can get started tonight communicating with your animals, and there will be an exercise towards the end of this that will help you with that. And then of course, ways that we can stay connected. So that beautiful dog that you see right there, that's my dog, Teddy. And I was led into animal communication by Teddy. And as with so many of my colleagues, we will be talking to each other and we'll say, yeah, it was an animal that led us into the profession that we're doing right now. It was an animal that led me into animal communication. It was an animal that led me into becoming a vet or a vet tech or whatever. So again, that just circles back to whenever the animals are aware that we really want to connect with them, they are there and they are helping us. Remember that bridge, they're already halfway across the bridge. They're waiting for us to come and meet them. So that adorable dog there, I adopted Teddy when he was 8 years old. And at the time I was living in Minnesota and I was teaching music in my house and I hadn't gotten into animal communication yet and really wasn't even working with my intuition other than as a musician, as a performer. And so one of my dogs passed away, and I knew at that time that I was a 2-dog kind of person and I needed another dog in the household. But this other dog had to meet all of these requirements. Because like I said, I was teaching at the time. I had 40 plus students I was seeing a week, plus, you know, their siblings, usually younger siblings, plus their parents, plus doting grandparents, plus, you know, the occasional aunt or uncle that would come in and the friend that would come in. So there was all kinds of activity going on in my house. And at the time, I also was living with 3 cats and another dog. And so the new dog that was going to be coming into the household had to meet all these requirements, particularly when it came with the students. I wanted one that was really good with people and really good with kids. So I just went to one of the local shelters. And I didn't take my other dog with me at this first trip. And I walked in, and there's this dog whose name was Tundra. And this dog was filthy and fat and just had the biggest smile on his face. And he was there in the waiting room where you first go in into the shelter. He was there. And there was a little puppy that was attached to his tail, literally attached to his tail with his teeth. And this dog, Tundra, was pulling that little puppy around the room, and they were having so much fun. And Tundra had this big smile on his face, and I looked at Tundra, I'm going, that's my dog. And I don't know how I knew it, but, you know, kismet, or if you want to call it synchronicity, whatever you want to call it, I knew that that was my dog. And so being the I like to know details. I don't like working with details, but I like to know facts. And when it comes to bringing an animal into my house, I like to know what's going on with that animal and how they're going to act. So I went in and I had all of my questions lined up to ask the people at the Humane Society. And one of the questions that I asked them was, does Tundra keep his kennel clean? And they said, yes, he does. And so I got Tundra at home, and I renamed him Teddy, and lo and behold, he kept his kennel clean, and he peed and pooped the entire house. And that is not hyperbole. The entire house was where he was peeing and pooping. And so I took him to the vet, thinking, well, he's 8 years old, and you know, there's a medical issue going on. I wanted something to be wrong so that it could be fixed, if that makes sense. And I'm thinking, well, take him to the vet. There's something medical going on. They're going to give me a pill and it's going to be perfect. and it didn't work. And so I worked with a trainer, and, you know, again, I was hoping for that magical thing, and that didn't work. And I was at my wit's end. I was tired of cleaning up after Teddy. And I loved him dearly. I mean, he just fit perfectly into the whole household. Loved him dearly. But it was like, what do you do with all the peeing and pooping that's going on? And because you can't make this stuff up, one day I'm sitting in front of the fireplace in Minnesota getting ready to light a fire. And I've got this paper that I'm getting ready to wad up. And the ad for Animal Communicator falls into my lap in my neck of the woods. Here's the number. I called. She came out. And she started working with Teddy. And when she started working with Teddy again, I was looking for that magical thing. I'm thinking, okay, you know, 2 or 3 sessions, boom, it's going to be fixed. And everything's going to be wonderful, you know. And that wasn't quite the case because I had homework to do. In animal communication, there's also often homework that the human needs to do so that we become in that relationship with, instead of that power over kind of thing. And so part of my homework was cleaning up the house, and oh my gosh, it was just a mess. It's just like, I think of it and I cringe, you know? And then she came back the second time and she said, now go get a black light and see if you missed any spots. So I went out and got the black light, and I cringed at all the urine spots that I missed. And so cleaned it again. But I noticed that as she was working with Teddy, the way that she was working with him, it was what I had been doing my entire life, and what my parents had told me: don't tell anybody that the squirrel is talking to you. They're going to think you're nuts. And I didn't realize it had a name. So long story short, Teddy pretty much to his dying day kept the house clean. One of the things that worked for us, and we worked together as a team, was an understanding why he felt the need to go in the house. And it had to do with his earlier training and lack thereof. And once I understood that, I was able to help him more. But it also had to do with his self-confidence. And with the folks that had had him before me, they didn't know how to work with a dog. So he was just really, he didn't know what to do. He was at his wit's end. So literally until his dying day, he kept the house clean. And on that last day, his little body just gave out. And he just looked at me and going, buddy, you know what? It's no big deal. We'll just take you to the vet and we will get all of this taken care of. And so that is the story of how I became an animal communicator, and how that beautiful dog, Teddy, who became an angel dog when he was 17. All right. Yeah, I'm hearing some background. Can we, hold on a minute. I'm going to mute everybody. There we go. I got everybody muted now. Okay. And there will be a time for questions and answers, so not to worry about that. This is what I love about animal communication. I love how animal communication deepens the bond between animals and humans. And what it does is, first of all, it opens up to the humans a way that they are not aware that they could connect with their animal. And when that avenue opens up and the light goes on and the person sees that they can communicate with their animal in that way, it's just glorious to witness. It literally changes the world. And people think that I'm just exaggerating. But I'm not, because when we change the relationship we have with animals, we literally are changing the world and the way the world sees animals. We're changing that one animal at a time. So that is why I'm so passionate about animal communication and working with the animals. I also delight in witnessing when the person realizes that they can connect with the animals in a deeper and more profound way. And again, as a teacher, when I see that light bulb go off over somebody's head, it's just like, yes, this works. This works. Particularly when we're talking with another species, okay? Sometimes communicating with humans, it's hard enough, but when we start communicating with other species and we see how accessible that is to us and how we're doing it naturally, innately, it's just, wow. Wow. It goes from like a black and white snapshot to all this glorious color. It's just amazing. And then when I love it when people realize that we all can talk to the animals, because so many times people will say, oh, you've got to be psychic, or you've got to have special gifts, or you've got to be specially called from the animals. And well, no, okay, no, you don't. Yeah, the animals are going to call you, but that's because, again, going back to that bridge, they're halfway across. They want to meet us, okay? My soapbox is that people will say you have to be psychic to talk to the animals. And that is my soapbox, because I do not experience animal communication that way. And to me, when somebody says you have to have special gifts, or you have to be psychic, or you have to have a special something or other to talk to the animals, to communicate with animals, they are taking it out of the world of our everyday world, out of the world of our ordinary daily life, and they are putting it in that, you want to call it that box, or the parameters of what I call woo-woo. And they're making it specialized so that only certain people can do it. I have not experienced that to be true, not by any stretch of the imagination. With the animals, as I said earlier, we all have the ability. We don't all have the desire or the same depth of desire, and that's cool. That is really cool. You know, I can do my taxes. I have the ability to do my taxes. I usually would prefer somebody else to do them besides me, because I just don't like doing them. And it can be that way with animal communication too. But I think that once we open up, that we can connect with the animals. Again, there is a sliding door or a window that opens up, and the animals are aware of that, and they start coming to us. And I'm talking our domesticated animals and the animals in the wild, and sometimes even angel animals. They start coming to us because they know that we are willing to connect with them. And I love witnessing. Truly, I love witnessing what happens when people realize that animals can be our guides and our teachers when we are open to that. Because so many times as good humans, and darn it, we are very good humans, we have been conditioned that we are the human, therefore the animal is a step below us, and therefore because I have the end of the leash, you know, I'm controlling what goes on. Well, okay, yeah, you do, except there's another end of the leash, and the dog has that end of the leash. And when you open yourself up to realizing that the information from your dog can come from that end of the leash to you to help you help your dog, again, it's just incredible. It is simply incredible when that happens. I've also worked with humans and their angel animals, where the human is thinking, oh, I just got this feeling that my angel cat is trying to tell me something. And they will call me, can you connect with my angel cat? Yes, I can. We'll have the session. And then I will connect with the angel cat, and the human will say, I just had the feeling that they were trying to connect with me. It was like I could feel them around me. And sometimes that will happen with our angel animals, that we will feel them. And not necessarily feeling them like here in the physical, but kind of like maybe, you know, just brushing by us or something. Or we'll start thinking about them more often than ordinary. So when we are open up to receive, to be on the receiving end from the animals, that does a lot to deepen our connection with them and with all animals. So I'm just going to skip off this because I've got everybody muted and I can't see the chat. But I want you to think about if you are already communicating with your animals and how you are doing that. And I'm going to go out on that, what I call the woo-woo branch. And I'm going to say that at this point, the way you're connecting to them is so natural to you, you're not even aware of it. And so maybe it's you just get a feeling that you need to change their diet. Or maybe it's you just get the feeling that, Sam the dog wants more food or a different kind of food. Or you get the feeling that you need to take Fluffy into the vet or something like that. When we are living with the animals and we are attuned to them and we have that natural honor and respect for them, we are just so connected that a lot of times we're taking the information in without being aware of it, and we are just calling it a hunch or a coincidence. Benefits of animal communication. And like I said, it was hard for me to narrow this down. And so the first one is because, hold on, one of the first benefits of animal communication is that you're getting the point of view directly from the animal. You don't have to Google to see what's going on. You don't have to go to a third party to see what's going on. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, particularly when it comes to vets and trainers, okay? But you can start off talking with your animal, seeing what's going on from their point of view, and then taking that information that you get from them and using it so it's a win-win for both of you. So you get the animal's point of view directly from them, and the animals really appreciate it. And reason number 2, that's my cat Pookie. That was the first cat that I had. I was probably 39 or 40 years old before any pets came into my life. And she was the first one, and she trained me well, let me tell you. She was the kind of cat, as her vet said, you know, Janet, everybody needs a cat like that once in their life, but no more than once. She was the sweetest cat to me, and she was just downright ornery to just about everybody else. But she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot. And if I really think about it, when I think about it, she's one of the first animals. She is the first animal that led me towards animal communication. But you can learn about potential health problems before they become a serious issue. And so, for instance, I was working with a horse and his owner and his trainer. And the horse is a reiner horse, and he was having some problems in the reining ring to the point where he would just stop when he wasn't supposed to and just kind of space out. And so the owner was thinking about selling him, but he's a really good horse. And so I connected with him. And what was going on was he had had a disease, probably a year or 6 months ago, you know, and he still hadn't recuperated from that. And what he was telling me was that his brain was regrouping. And again, I'm not a medical intuitive or a vet, so I don't have the medical terminology, but the way he explained it to me was that his brain was regrouping so it knew what to do. When I told his owner that, his person that, and his trainer that, they could work out a plan that helped him so that he just really became a star in the show ring. And it's incredible about that. So you can learn about health problems and health issues before they become serious. You can also learn about possible explanations for behavior problems. So for instance, if your dog has just been, you know, just the sweetest little, most sociable dog and going to the park and everything, and all of a sudden there's a change, you can connect with the dog. What's going on? What is causing that behavior, that change in your behavior? And a lot of times, and here I will go out on a limb, and I won't say it's 100% of the time, but I will say it's as high as 98% of the time. When there is a behavioral change in your animal, in my experience, there is a medical issue that is involved. And so when people call me and we're talking about this, I will tell them what's going on from the animal's point of view. And then my next thing is to say, and I suggest that you connect with your vet and to see what your vet has to say about this. Because the animals, and I'm not talking ones that have been abused, okay? I'm talking about our domesticated family that lives with us and that loves us and that we love them. That when there's something, a drastic change like that going on, it's not because they're being angry or they're holding us responsible for something. It's something that they have no control over. They can't help. So the first step is to check with your vets. And a lot of times people will call me with what's going on, and I will tell them, check with your vet first and then get back to me for a communication. Because if you think about this, if there's something going on, the animal is not quite present to be able to have a full-blown communication. So that's another reason I love animal communication. Animal communication helps prepare both the animal and the family, the human family, and their animal siblings that are in that same household in the death and transition process. And prime example of that is, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, my dog Emmy and my cat Mitzi both passed away within 2 or 3 months of each other. It was a difficult time. And Emmy made it very clear that she wanted to pass away in our home on her own, and that was so difficult for me. That was so difficult for me. And luckily I had a vet at the time that supported that. And so I was there with Emmy, and there were days I would really watch her soul. It was like it was leaving, and then it would come back, and then it would leave, and it would come back. But she was just as sweet as she could be, and in her sweet way, she wasn't determined, but she would just prefer if she could pass in the comfort of her home. So in talking with the vet was telling me what to watch for. I knew what to watch for as far as her spirit leaving and everything. And so one day I just called the vet and I said, it's time. If you can come over here, if you can come over here today, that would be perfect. And Emmy was happy that it passed that way. 2 or 3 months later, my cat Mitzi, who was the queen of stink eye, she was bound and determined that she was not going to pass away at home. She was going to be there at the vet's office. And Mitzi, she must be something I have with female cats. She was one of those too. That was just, she could be really nasty with other people and other animals in the household. But with me, she was very gentle and very loving. And she said, this is the way I'm doing it. So she got ready to pass away over Labor Day weekend. And of course, all the vets' offices were, or her vet office was closed. And the emergency vet was like an hour and a half drive one way away. And I didn't want to subject her to that. So I asked her, and she said, no, I'll hang on to after the weekend when I can go to my vet. So she did. Mitzi hung on that entire weekend. Monday morning at 7:59 and a half in the morning, I'm calling the vet saying, it's time for Mitzi to be put down and she wants to come in. So I got her in there and it worked just beautifully. So when we are attuned to what the animals want there at the end, while it can be difficult for us, it can also help make that transition easier for them. And what I also love about animal communication is this is the natural way that animals communicate. They don't speak English like we do. They pick up on our feelings behind our words. That is their way of connecting with us. And then the emotional feelings and meanings behind our words. That's the way they connect with us. And so when we are connecting with them through our intuition, it's no longer, I'm up here, I'm the human, and I'm talking to you, the cat that's down here. We are meeting them to the best of our ability on that relationship with platform. So one of the things that I would like you to think about is what makes animal communication exciting for you. As you're experiencing it in your life, at whatever level you are, if you've got animals, I truly believe you are communicating with them. You may not be aware of it, but there's a communication that's going on. So wherever you are in your journey with animal communication, look at how that's affecting your life and what just floats your boat, so to speak, but what makes you happy when you're communicating with the animals. Want to remind people, for those who just came on, to take notes or to take screenshots of what's going on here, our call tonight, because at the end, I'm going to have a special thank you for being on the call tonight, and you will need to send me either a screenshot or a copy of your notes. All right, so this is not going to become as a surprise to anybody. My most asked question is, can anyone communicate with the animals? And the answer is yes. It's a very resounding yes. We all have that ability to connect with the animals. And if you get nothing else out of our talk tonight, please remember that you have that ability, each one of you on the call, and each one of you that is listening later to this call, you have the ability to connect with the animals. It is innate. It is something that we have done for centuries. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. We haven't done it for centuries, but we came into this world eons ago with that ability to connect to the animals. And now we are starting to remember it. Now we are starting to have the desire to do it. And now is the time on our planet that it is critical and it is essential that we start connecting with the animals. So yes, everyone has the ability to connect with the animals, and I will go by extension and say all sentient beings. And by sentient beings, I basically mean anything that is on Earth. The land, the water, the air, the sky, the trees, the rocks, the minerals, the mushrooms, the plants, anything that is on this earth that we share our earthly home with is a sentient being. Again, you don't need special gifts and you don't need to be psychic. The word, as I said earlier, psychic, to me, that connotates special woo-woo powers. And to me, I'm so pragmatic about animal communication. It's, if people sometimes think that I'm nuts, and maybe I am, but this is the way I experience it. Talking to the animals, to me, it's the same as talking to somebody at a coffee shop, connecting with them. And we all have the ability to do that. We all have that we can do that. And as we practice it and we make that communication muscle stronger, you'll see that coming more and more and more to the front. And what's really interesting is you make that communication muscle stronger, the animals go, woohoo, Susie Smith, she's willing to talk to me. I'm going to be going there. I'm going to be talking to Susie Smith. Or maybe it's magpie. You see a lot of magpies flying into your life. Truly, I believe that the only thing that is really needed to connect with the animals is to have that open heart, to really want to connect with them, to love and to honor and to respect them, and to have a willingness to move beyond our human perceptions of what the world, how we experience the world or what the world should be, and take off our human blinders and start looking at a bigger, broader world. So we're going to start off talking what animal communication is not. And you might think that first one is just kind of, Janet, why are you saying that? But as I said earlier, when I thought, having an animal communicator working with Teddy, when, he first came into my life, I thought it was going to be, 2 or 3 sessions, boom, it's done, it's taken care of. I did have that magical thinking about it, that hopeful magical thinking, I should say. And it's not magical. There's homework involved because it's a relationship. The relationship is between the human and their animal. Okay? And we know when we have relationships with the humans in our life, there is work that needs to be done. It's not magic. You don't magically wish that your spouse would do something or other, or not to do something or other, and bingo, it's done. Abracadabra, the magic has happened, and there you go. There's work that needs to take place in relationships, and it's the same with animals. So when Teddy came into my house, not only was it not magic, I had a whole heck of a lot of homework to do, and cleaning the house and, getting it ready so that he was able to start his new realm of being in a cleaner house. And I did forget to mention one thing. After we had worked, Teddy and I had worked with a communicator for, I would say, 3 to 6 months, something like that. Definitely, it was less than a year, okay? He kept the house so clean that I was able to get new furniture and to redo the house. And like I said earlier, he basically kept the house clean to his dying day. Animal communication is not a medical diagnosis, a prescription, or a treatment. I am not a vet. I am not a medical intuitive. I am not a vet tech. And with my horse, Shiloh, whenever he would get injured, and his name was I'm a Real Investment, he was getting injured all the time. When the barn people would say, oh, Shiloh got injured again, and the vet's on his way out here, and we need you to come out and hold him. Well, I would be out there as a comfort to Shiloh, but I'd see that blood, and they'd say, you're going to pass out. Just go sit down, and, we'll hold Shiloh for you. And so animal communication is not that. And people will call me, and they will ask me to tell them what's going on with their animal, and it's like, no, I can tell you what the animal's experiencing from the animal's point of view. But I cannot tell you, I cannot describe or make a prognosis or a diagnosis. I am not trained to do that, and I am not going to do that. Because to my way of thinking, again, animal communication with relationship, I think of animal communication as being like a 3-legged stool. And when you've got that 3-legged stool of an animal communicator, a professional medical caregiver, and a professional trainer, you've got everything just kind of hunky-dory good there. It's like all the legs of the stool are even. And if one of the legs gets out of whack and the stool gets off balance, then you work on that leg that needs to be fixed up. Animal communication can help with how the animal's feeling. But the other thing to keep in mind too is that the animal may tell me how he or she is feeling and may mask the actual what they are experiencing because they don't want to worry their person. So when I'm working with an animal in that kind of situation, I can get what the animal is feeling. A lot of times I will get physical feelings. I tell the person that, but I will not make a diagnosis, a prescription, or do a treatment. Nor is animal communication a replacement for training. I will have people call me, oh, my dog's up starting to bite people. And it's like, you need to call the trainer. But can't you talk to my dog and tell my dog to stop it? Again, it goes back to that relation. The relationship is between the person and their dog. I can talk to the dog and see what's going on. But as far as a cure for that aggressiveness, I'm not a dog trainer. And in a situation like that, I am getting to the point, and I know that many of my colleagues are at the point, that when somebody calls and says, my dog is aggressive, they will just say, no, I won't take that case on, because there's so many different levels for that, So if you just keep in mind that animal communication is not magic, it doesn't replace a vet or trainer. You've got it going for you there. What animal communication is, it's a natural and an innate way to connect with the animals and by extension, all sentient beings. It's connecting with the animals using your intuition, and it's having a two-way conversation with active listening and active sending of information going through two different species. Okay, technically, that's what it is. Non-technically, what I believe animal communication is that connection from the heart. You've got that connection from the heart. That puts a whole lot of things in place. Whole lot of things. Granted, there are techniques that you can learn that need to be learned to communicate with the animals. But the biggest thing is having that love and that honor and respect and connecting with the animals. And then also, the more I experience animal communication and observe and witness how other people experience it, sometimes I think animal communication is just a switch in a way of thinking. Like I gave a workshop here in Missoula a few weeks ago, and there was an elderly gentleman there, and we were doing the animal communication exercises and everything. And he was not connecting intuitively with the animals. But what he said was, those exercises helped me change the way I was thinking about them. And I realized that is a form of animal communication. So animal communication, there's lots of definitions to it. At its most basic, it's tuning in with your intuition. How it works is you have, and I'm talking intuitively now, okay? You purposefully connect with the animal. The information is both sent and received through a series of, well, let me see what the word is here. Through the senses. It's received through the senses, meaning that you can hear words, which is what I usually do when I communicate. You can see pictures. Some people smell when they're communicating with the animals. The animals will send them a smell. Some people dream about animals. As my horse Shiloh said, the only wrong way to do animal communication is not to do it. And what that means is that, again, it's time for all of us to connect. And the animals are so attuned and so willing to help us that they know the natural channel that we are able to take that information in. And they will help us with that. The other thing to keep in mind is that barriers of time and space do not exist in animal communication. That is why I am able to talk to animals on the other side of the world. That is why I am able to talk to angel animals. That's why I'm able to talk to the dog that lives 2 houses away. It's that time and that space. Those barriers do not exist in animal communication. So animal communication, when we break it down into steps, it becomes very much easier. It's not this, whoa, I got to take in this whole thing. We have steps that we can take. And I'm going to be showing you those steps. And again, reminding you that everyone can talk to the animals, that we all have the ability to do that. And again, another reminder to take those notes so that we have screenshots, however you're doing it. So the first way that I start teaching animal communication is creating what I call a circle of quiet. Because all of us live, this is going to make so much sense. All of us live in our everyday world, okay? In that monkey mind world where we got 9 million things are on our mind, at least 9 million. We've got so many things to do and so much of this and so much of that and so much of this. And that stuff gets in the way of connecting with the animals. And you think about it, why wouldn't it? Because if you are meeting with a friend for coffee and that friend is just going, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, and the friend just can't relax to have a conversation, that makes you nervous. And do you want to connect with the friend at that point in time? Would you rather wait until the friend is more relaxed? So the first step in starting your circle of quiet is to go to a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. And whether that is in nature or whether that is someplace in your house, you're going to go to a quiet setting. And that means that the TV is not on. That means that you've got all the bells and whistles on your smartphone turned off. That means that the radio's not going on. That means that you live with a family, a human family, and you need to close the door so that you have quiet. That's what you do. Because what we're doing is we're creating that quiet place where we can leave our everyday monkey mind and start to settle down. So it's really important that those exterior distractions are taken away. The next thing that we do is to quiet our body. And if anyone is using breathing exercises, that is a great way to quiet your body. If you do yoga or if you already have a practice where you are quieting your body, that is just a magnificent thing to tune into and to tie into your animal communication practice. The breathing exercise that I use myself is that I will sit in a quiet position, feet on the floor touching the ground, okay? And I will slow my breathing down, and I will focus on breathing up through my left leg, breathing in the energy of the earth. And then when I sense that the energy, the breath is up here, I will hold it, and then I will exhale it on the right side. So for me, it is inhale on the left, hold, exhale on the right leg. And what I usually do is to the count of 3. So inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3. I will do that and start calming down. And what's interesting is the longer that I do that, the longer I can hold my breath. And the slower I am breathing, it's actually quieting the monkey mind. So the next thing that we're going to do, speaking of monkey mind, is we're going to quiet our monkey mind. And one way to do that, we're in a quiet place, we've already quieted our body, so that helps quite a bit. But sometimes there are still those monkey mind thoughts that kind of flitter through. It's like, oh, did I turn off the tea kettle? I should go check the tea kettle and make sure I turned it off. That's a monkey mind thought. So if in my heart of hearts, I know that I've turned off the tea kettle, and that would be one thing that you would check before you went to your quiet place, I will just take that thought. I have an imaginary wastebasket by me, throw that thought in there, and it's gone. I don't need to think about it anymore. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be breathing, and then another monkey mind thought comes by. Oh, should I do laundry today or tomorrow? Take that thought, throw it in the wastebasket. I'm a very visual person, so it helps me to see a picture of a wastebasket there and me just literally doing this and doing that, tossing it out. And the great thing about that is that after you've got rid of all those monkey mind, the monkey chatter, okay, and they're all there, all those thoughts are there in the wastebasket, after your session, you can pick them up again. I have never done that, and I've never known anybody who wants to pick them up again. So that's quite interesting. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our manners. Here we're going to use some magical words. This is where animal communication can be considered magic. We're going to use those magical words that we learned as little kids of may I, please, and thank you. And we're going to be using those with the animal. So as we're tuning into the animal, may I talk to you? Please, may I talk to you? Is now a good time to talk with you? And then when we're done, we say thank you. What's interesting is when we say, may I talk to you? The animal can come back with either a no, a yes, or a maybe. If the animal comes back with yes, then, just go ahead and go into that conversation. Honor the animal's response. So many times when we are connecting with animals, we have, even though we've cleared our mind, we still have that inborn projected idea, expectation of how a conversation with another sentient soul should go, okay? So learn to honor the animal and what they say. If they say no or maybe, that doesn't mean that they don't want to talk to you, okay? Now may not be a good time, okay? They may be tired. They may have something else to do. I had an animal tell me at one time saying, well, no, I want to play with my ball. It was like, well, hello, why would I want to talk to you now? So take what they say, take it in, and don't judge it. Okay, it's really important you just take it in. It's information only. And even when we are connected with the animals and we get that blank, nothing at all, it's still something. Nothing is something. It's not what we anticipated. It's not what we were looking for. It's not what we hoped for, but it's still something. And that's where the tools of animal communication coming in discerning, what does this mean? What does this mean? So as you connect with the animal using those magic words of please, may I, and thank you, okay, honor their response. And if they have given you the go-ahead, the information can come to you through your senses. Okay, so you might see a picture. You might hear words that aren't in the physical world, so to speak. You might hear thoughts in your head. My experience has been the wackier the thoughts are, the more authentic the conversation is. And of course, that's not always true. But there have been times when I'm just going, oh my gosh, how can I tell the person that hired me and is paying me well to do this conversation that they're full of saying, oh, look at my pretty legs. I have such beautiful legs. Look at my pretty legs. Don't you just love my legs? And that really happened. And that was with the trainer that I know in real life. And I'm just going, oh, geez, So what can I do but tell the trainer? And the trainer was actually trying to discern what discipline the little foal would want to go into as she grew up. And so when I told the trainer that, and I'm going, oh, gee, you're not going to believe this, but here's what she said. Look at my pretty legs. Aren't my legs so pretty? And the trainer said, that makes perfect sense. What that little foal would do, even at her very early age, she wanted to be the center of attention. So if there were other people there, she was in the center of the people. If she was in an arena, she was at the center of the arena with the expectation that people would be looking at her and watching her pretty legs. And so as she grew, the trainer put her in the show ring. I think it was Western Pleasure. And I think that was it. And she loved it. And she was always winning because she was doing what she wanted to do. So pay attention to those words, thoughts, pictures, sounds, dreams that come to you as you are connecting with the animals. And if you start doing, which we all do this, I do this, colleagues of mine do this, we talk about this, and we start going, is that really true? How can I hear? That just makes no sense that foal told me to look at her pretty legs, and that's the only thing she said. And so when that happens, what I invite you to remember, to think about, is why at that moment in time, when you are in your circle of quiet and you have cleared your mind and you've cleared your body and your brainwaves are actually slower than they are there in your quiet place than they are in the real world. At that moment in time, why would that information come to you from that animal in that way at that exact moment? And when I am able to take that and use it as a tool to navigate through, or a life rings, so to speak, to hold on to, that makes the world of difference. So remember, if you're doubting what you're hearing, if you're going, it can't be true, go back to why at that particular time, with all the things that can go through in my mind, why did that information come to me from that animal at that time in that way? And you keep that in mind, and that's really going to help you a lot. So at the end of the conversation, remember, use your magic words. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed our conversation together. Thank you. Creating a circle of quiet, it's a great way to start. And there are so many things that you are doing when you create your circle of quiet. You are stilling yourself. You are connecting with an animal, and you are having a conversation with an animal. And when you stop and think about it, how profound is that? Just by creating that circle of quiet. You're stilled, your monkey mind. It's not nearly as active as what it is in the regular time and way. You're connecting with an animal and you have a conversation. How grand is that? Whoopsie. Okay. So I'm going to give you some ways to start communicating with the animals. As soon as this call is finished, I will be sending you some ways to do this. And I'm just going to start on here. I just lied to you again. That's my second lie of the night. We're going to be doing it right now. So when you are connecting with your animals, okay, practicing at home, remember your circle of quiet. When you leave the house, this is a practical thing to do, very practical thing to do. When you leave the house, tell your buddies that you're going to be gone. Oh, I'm going to the grocery store now. I'm going to go pick up food for us. I'm going to go pick up some dog food and some cat food for you guys, and I'll be back. So you tell them what you're doing, and you will be back. And that's very important that you say, and I will be back, so that they know that you are coming back. We humans assume that because we know that we're coming back, that the animals know it too. Not necessarily the case. I always find it to be very clear and very succinct with what we say with the animals. And just say, I'm leaving, I'll be back. Tell them everything you know. While you are gone, you can give them a job to do. My dog Max, he is like the best barker on the face of the earth. And here in Montana, we got this beautiful window that runs along one side of the house. And he looks out that window and it's like, Max, I'm going to be gone. I'll be back. While I'm gone, would you bark, please? And he does. My cat Raven, when my cat Billy was still with us and he was ill, I would ask Raven, if I need to come home early, let me know. And he would gladly do that. I didn't have to do it, but Raven was willing to do that. You can also experiment with, instead of sending words to your animals, send pictures. Okay, so for instance, with Max, when I'm gone, Max, I'm gone, I'll be home. And then I send a picture of him looking out his bark window and barking at anything that is a stray. If you have a cat, you can send a picture of your cat. Maybe it's watching for mice under the refrigerator, you know, or maybe you want your cat to be sleeping. You know, maybe that's their job. Whatever it is that they like to do and that they do naturally, that is their job while you are gone. Remember when you return to ask them how things went. That's very important. Again, it's that relationship. We've asked, we need to have follow-up with that. And then again, trust what you get from the animals. Trust. When you walk in that door and your cat Fifi says, oh, you know, I just had the most marvelous dream while you're gone and I slept the whole time. And you're thinking, no, you were here at the door. You know, trust that she told you in truth that while you were gone, she was sleeping. And you know, cats, all the animals know when we're coming home and they're there to greet us. So trust what you get. And when you can't trust it, I invite you to trust it some more. If you get stuck and you can't trust it, contact me. That's something I can help you with. Okay, we're going to unmute you in just a couple seconds, but the reminder about those notes, okay? What I would like you to do, since you were on the call tonight, and to thank you for being on this call, and to thank you for being willing to open yourself to the wonderful world of animal communication. If you send me a picture of your notes or a screenshot of your notes, and one question about your animal, okay, alive or deceased, then I will answer that question for you. It's a free answer as a thank you for being on the call tonight. All you will need to do, and you'll get an email about this, okay? All you will need to do is send me a picture, the name of your animal, their age, and if they're alive or deceased, along with your one question for your animal, and then I will get that back to you. You can send that to janet@janetroper.com. And if you get that in, this is Thursday, get it in no later than Friday, tomorrow, May 26th, 2017 at midnight, whatever midnight is your time. So I hope you have enjoyed this call and that you're starting to realize how much you are already communicating with your animals. I hope that is starting to come into the consciousness of how you're communicating with the animals, because you wouldn't be on this call if this was not something that you were interested in and at some level you are already doing. So kudos to you. Once you become aware of communicating with the animals, it's going to take you into a different state of being, which is just lovely. Ways that we can stay connected is sign up for my newsletter. I'll be sending you some links, and the newsletter comes out every couple of weeks. If there's something special going on, like classes I teach, and there's a special discount code for subscribers only, I will send out the newsletter more than a couple of weeks. You know, you'll get an extra one. But basically it comes out every couple of weeks. You can also join me on Facebook, Janet Roper, Animal Communicator and Educator. And the page on Facebook is actually Talk to the Animals, and it's Talk with the number 2, the Animals. Again, you'll get the link for that. I have started doing workshops, and they run between an hour and 90 minutes. And I've just started doing them on Learn It Live, and it's really fun because we take one aspect of animal communication. I did one last night about what's the deal with dogs, and it was about specifically using animal communication with dogs. And so I will be continuing to continue to do those. And you will be getting, if you're on the newsletter list or follow me on Facebook, you will be seeing that. And I just really invite you to sign up for those because they're a lot of fun. And you get a chance to ask questions, and they really do help you in the communications. And then you can also host your own animal communication class if you're interested in going deeper and want to learn really the tech, because we just barely touched the tip of the iceberg tonight. I invite you to host your own class. As a host, you get the class for free, plus other perks, everything that goes with the class, and a free half-hour communication session, whether that is communicating with your animals or a mentoring session. You would receive that as host. And all you would need to do is to gather up to 6 to 8 people of your friends to take the class. We would work on the scheduling together, and you're basically the liaison between me and the class. So if you're interested in that, let's talk. All right, I am going to unmute people. Hold on one second. Okay, everybody is unmuted. Are there any questions that you have about tonight? Anything I can help you with?
Yeah, that was wonderful information. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for being on the call. I appreciate that. Any comments or concerns from anybody? Okie dokie. I thank you very much for being on the call tonight. More than that, I thank you for coming into the wonderful world of animal communication and being willing to share yourself with the animals. The animals, thank you for that. It's just really a grand thing. So when this recording has processed, or whatever recordings magically do in the technology world, I will be sending a recording of this to you. It will probably be tomorrow morning because I don't think it'll get processed tonight. But in the next very near future, you will be receiving the recording from me, also the audio, and then you'll be sending or receiving the information about where to send your questions, kind of thing. So I will get that off to you as soon as possible. So I thank everybody for being on the call tonight. And if there's any way I can help you with your animal communication journey, just let me know. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.